Have you ever met someone with whom you felt an inexplicable familiarity? A recognition that goes beyond the rational? Your eyes met, and it was as if time stood still. Your heart raced, as if it had finally found a part of itself it didn't know was lost. But there's a problem. She's married. Or he has an established family. And now you wonder, how can the universe be so cruel? Why awaken in you the certainty that you found your twin flame precisely when she's unavailable? Are you imagining things? Or is there a greater purpose behind this seemingly impossible situation? Carl Jung had an answer to this, and it might be the most transformative you've ever heard about soul connections. In this video, you'll discover why your twin flame might be with someone else in this lifetime. And more importantly, what is the true spiritual purpose behind this encounter that seems doomed to suffering? Brace yourself, because what I'm about to reveal could completely change your perspective on love, destiny, and spiritual growth. And if you stay until the end, you'll understand why this situation, however painful it may be, could be exactly what your soul most needs to evolve. Before we dive into the complexity of a committed twin flame, we need to understand what this concept truly means through Carl Jung's eyes. Because the internet is full of romanticizations about twin flames that confuse more than they clarify. Jung didn't use exactly the term twin flame, but his studies on synchronicity, individuation, and the collective unconscious provide the most solid scientific foundation for understanding these extraordinary connections. For Jung, certain people enter our lives not by chance, but as part of an archetypal process of psychological completeness. The twin flame, from Jung's perspective, is that person who carries the perfect projection of your anima or animus, the inner counterpart of the opposite gender that exists within each of us. That's why recognition is so immediate and overwhelming. You're not simply falling in love with a person. You're recognizing a fundamental part of yourself reflected in the other. But here's the crucial point that most people don't understand. Twin flames don't necessarily come to form conventional relationships. They come to catalyze profound transformations, awaken dormant aspects of the psyche, and accelerate the process of individuation, the path to becoming truly who you are. Jung observed that the most transformative connections of our lives often come accompanied by apparent impossibilities. It's as if the universe creates specific obstacles to force us to grow in ways we couldn't achieve in comfortable situations. When your twin flame is married or committed, this isn't a cosmic mistake. It's a perfect design for a specific type of spiritual evolution. You've been called not just to love, but to transcend possessive love and discover higher forms of human connection. The pain you feel isn't evidence that something's wrong. It's evidence that something profoundly right is happening at a level your conscious mind can't yet fully comprehend. If you're wondering why the universe would allow you to find your twin flame in an impossible situation, Jung had a revolutionary perspective on this. He believed the psyche has its own intelligence, and that it orchestrates specific encounters to teach us lessons we couldn't learn any other way. Think about the spiritual alchemy Jung studied intensively. The alchemical process doesn't seek to create easy gold. It demands that substances be subjected to extreme heat, pressure, and painful transformations so that something truly valuable can emerge. The encounter with an unavailable twin flame is exactly this type of alchemical process. The apparent cruelty serves specific purposes. First, it breaks your illusions about how love should work. It forces you to question whether you truly understand what unconditional love is. Second, it prevents you from hiding in a relational comfort zone, pushing you into unknown territories of personal growth. Jung observed that the greatest psychological transformations happen when we're forced to confront irreconcilable paradoxes. The love you feel for your married twin flame is one of these paradoxes. You love genuinely, but cannot possess. You connect deeply, but must maintain distance. You recognize your destiny, but must accept divine timing. This tension between desire and impossibility creates what Jung called the transcendent function, the psychological ability to hold opposites in balance until a third possibility emerges. In the case of twin flames, this third possibility is often a form of love that transcends ego limitations and social expectations. The universe isn't cruel. It's surgical. This situation was designed specifically to heal parts of you that couldn't be healed under conventional circumstances. Perhaps you need to learn to love without possessing, or to find inner completeness without depending on external validation, or to develop a deep faith in divine timing, even when your human mind screams for control. The person your twin flame is married to isn't an innocent victim or an inconvenient obstacle. She's part of the same spiritual design. Everyone involved in this dynamic has specific lessons to learn, soul contracts to honor, and growth to experience. Even when your twin flame is committed to another person, the connection between you cannot be completely hidden. There are specific signs Jung would identify as evidence of true soul synchronicity. But be careful. It's important to distinguish between genuine connection and wishful projection. The first sign is what Jung would call archetypal recognition. When you meet, there's a familiarity that goes beyond logic. It's not just physical attraction or mental compatibility. It's as if you've known each other for lifetimes. She might comment on something, and you finish the sentence. Or you might have synchronized experiences, dreaming of each other the same night, thinking of the other at the exact moment they appear. The second sign is the mutual ability to see beyond social masks directly to each other's essence. Jung called this seeing beyond the persona. Even in a brief encounter, you manage to perceive aspects of each other's personality that usually remain hidden. It's as if natural psychological defenses automatically disarm. Another crucial indicator is the catalytic effect you have on each other. After meeting your twin flame, even though she's committed, you probably noticed significant changes in your life. Perhaps you began questioning old beliefs, seeking spiritual growth, or making changes you'd been postponing for years. Her presence in your life, even from a distance, acts as a catalyst for your evolution. There's also the phenomenon we could call silent energetic communication. You can sense each other's emotional state without physical contact. You might intuitively know when she's going through difficulties, or she might contact you precisely when you most need some kind of sign or validation. But here's a sign many people ignore: mutual respect for existing commitments. If she's truly your twin flame and you're spiritually attuned, there will be a tacit understanding that both your growth is more important than immediate satisfaction of desires. She won't impulsively break her commitments, nor will you pressure for that to happen. True connection also manifests through what Jung called controlled inflation. You feel inspired and elevated by the connection, but don't lose your sense of reality. There's a transcendent quality to the interaction that makes you feel more connected to the divine, to purpose, to life in general. Jung believed deeply that there are no accidental encounters, especially those that provoke profound transformations in our lives. The encounter with your married twin flame has specific spiritual purposes that go far beyond conventional romance. The first purpose is what Jung would call accelerated individuation. The emotional tension created by this situation forces you to develop aspects of your personality that might remain dormant under normal circumstances. You learn to deal with unconditional love, conscious detachment, faith without guarantees, and divine patience, qualities essential for spiritual maturity. The second purpose is healing karmic patterns related to possessive love. Many souls arrive in this life carrying unconscious memories of relationships where love transformed into control, jealousy, or emotional dependence. Loving your twin flame from a distance, respecting her commitments, is a way to purify these ancient dynamics and learn higher forms of loving. There's also the purpose of developing what Jung called conscious love. Most relationships operate on autopilot, driven by unconscious needs, projections, and repetitive family patterns. When you love someone you can't have, you're forced to consciously examine every feeling, every motivation, every desire. This develops a purer and less neurotic quality of love. The encounter also serves to activate what we might call spiritual service capacity. When you experience this type of transcendent love, even if one-sided, you develop a deeper understanding of human connections that can be used to help others. Many people who've gone through this experience become counselors, therapists, or simply wiser friends. Jung observed that certain painful experiences serve to prepare us for greater spiritual responsibilities. Perhaps you're being prepared for future work that requires deep understanding of unconditional love, or for a future relationship that will be richer and more mature because of what you've learned through this experience. There's also the purpose of awakening your connection to the divine. When human love reaches its limits, when you love deeply but cannot have, you're naturally pushed to seek more transcendent sources of satisfaction and meaning. Many people discover their true spirituality through these experiences of impossible love. Finally, there's the purpose of modeling a different type of love for the world. Your ability to love without possessing, to respect the other's autonomy, to find joy in their happiness, even when it doesn't include you, is a rare example of emotional maturity that can inspire other people. The emotional reality of loving your married twin flame is like living on a daily spiritual roller coaster. Jung understood that certain psychological experiences are so intense, they require specific management strategies to avoid becoming destructive. The first strategy is what Jung would call conscious acceptance of the paradox. Instead of fighting against the reality of the situation, you must embrace it completely. Yes, you found your twin flame. Yes, she's married. Both truths can coexist without one canceling the other. Mental resistance to this reality only amplifies suffering. The second principle is distinguishing between feeling and acting based on those feelings. Jung emphasized the importance of fully experiencing our emotions without necessarily allowing them to dictate our behavior. You can feel longing, passion, sadness, hope. All these emotions are valid and should be honored. But that doesn't mean you should act to try to change her situation. A powerful technique is what Jung called dialogue with the unconscious. Write letters to your twin flame that you'll never send. Express everything you feel without filters. Then write responses as if you were her, trying to channel her perspective. This process helps integrate different aspects of the situation and develop a more mature understanding of the dynamic. Jung would also recommend working with dreams during this period. People in twin flame situations often have very meaningful dreams that offer guidance on how to navigate the situation. Keep a dream journal and pay special attention to those involving your twin flame or related symbols. It's crucial to develop what Jung called emotional continence, the ability to contain intense feelings without exploding or repressing them. This means creating healthy rituals to process your emotions: meditation, physical exercise, artistic expression, time in nature. Your emotional energy needs constructive channels of expression. Another essential strategy is maintaining healthy social connection. The tendency when living this type of love is to isolate yourself, feeding fantasies and dramatizing the situation. Jung insisted on the importance of maintaining balanced relationships with other people. They help you keep perspective and not lose touch with consensual reality. Also practice what Jung would call conscious presence when in her presence. Instead of getting lost in romantic fantasies or analyzing every gesture, simply be present. Appreciate the opportunity to be near this special energy without trying to transform it into something it's not. Finally, develop a spiritual practice that connects you with something greater than this specific situation. This could be meditation, prayer, philosophical study, volunteer work, any activity that reminds you that you're part of something much larger than your personal drama. Jung observed that the greatest opportunities for psychological growth come disguised as the greatest emotional difficulties. The situation of loving your married twin flame is one of these disguised opportunities, a chance to develop spiritual qualities that are rare in current humanity. The first required growth is developing detached love. Most people confuse love with possession, passion with need, connection with dependence. In this situation, you're forced to purify your concept of love. You must learn to truly love, to desire the other's happiness even when it doesn't include you. This isn't resignation, it's a much higher form of love. The second growth is developing divine patience, the ability to trust the universe's timing, even when it contradicts your personal desires. Jung believed certain lessons can only be learned through conscious waiting. You're learning that some things cannot be forced, controlled, or manipulated, however intense your will might be. There's also the growth of emotional integrity. In a situation where it would be easy to justify questionable behaviors, trying to seduce a married person, creating dramas to force changes, emotional manipulation, you're called to maintain your highest values. This strengthens your character in ways other situations couldn't accomplish. Jung emphasized the importance of developing what he called the transcendent function, the ability to hold psychological tensions without resolving them prematurely. In this situation, you learn to live with ambiguity, uncertainty, and paradoxes. This is an advanced psychological capacity that serves all areas of life. Another crucial growth is the ability to find meaning in suffering. Jung believed that conscious suffering, accepted and integrated rather than avoided suffering, is transformative. You're learning that not all pain needs to be immediately eliminated, that some pains carry precious spiritual gifts that can only be accessed through complete experience. There's also the development of universal compassion. When you go through this type of situation, you develop a deep understanding of the complexity of human relationships. You stop judging people who are in love triangles, who make seemingly wrong choices, or who live complicated situations. This expanded compassion is a gift that serves the world. The growth of emotional self-sufficiency is another fundamental aspect. You learn that your happiness cannot depend on specific external circumstances. Even while deeply loving your twin flame, you must develop an inner source of satisfaction and purpose that's independent of the relational situation. Finally, there's the growth of spiritual faith, the conviction that there's a higher intelligence operating in your life, even when you can't understand the complete plan. This faith isn't naivety. It's wisdom developed through direct experience of synchronicities and meanings that transcend common logic. The question that won't go away: is there real possibility of union with your married twin flame? Jung would say this question is wrongly formulated. The question isn't when or how, but whether you'll be prepared to recognize and embrace any possibility the universe presents. The first Jungian principle about divine timing is that it never operates according to human schedules. If a union is destined to happen, it will happen when both people are spiritually prepared to sustain that level of connection. This could be months, years, decades, or even never in this lifetime. And all these possibilities are equally valid from a spiritual standpoint. Jung observed that forcing synchronicities is impossible. They arise when there's alignment between personal consciousness and universal flow. In the context of twin flames, this means a union can only happen when both people have sufficiently completed their individuation process to sustain a mature relationship. If she's married, there are lessons she needs to learn in that current situation. This might be about commitment, about honoring soul contracts, about developing specific aspects of her personality that only emerge in this relational context. Trying to interfere in this process is like trying to hasten fruit ripening. You might succeed in removing it from the tree, but it won't be sweet. The correct role for you during this waiting period is to focus completely on your own growth. Jung emphasized that we can only attract what we vibrate energetically with. If you want a mature and spiritual union with your twin flame, you must first become someone capable of sustaining that type of relationship. This means healing your own problematic relational patterns, developing your career, your talents, your unique contribution to the world, learning to be happy alone, to find purpose independent of romantic validation, cultivating qualities like patience, compassion, wisdom, and faith. Jung believed that when two people are truly ready to unite, the universe removes obstacles naturally. This can happen in surprising ways, changes neither could have predicted or planned. But trying to force these changes through manipulation or pressure usually results in more complications. If a separation happens naturally in her marriage, it's crucial that it's not because of your pressures. She needs to reach her own conclusions about what's best for her life. Your function is simply to be available, emotionally and spiritually, for any possibility that might arise. But here's a truth Jung would insist on highlighting. Physical union might not be the final goal. Some twin flames come to teach about transcendent forms of love that don't require conventional relationships. The spiritual connection between you might be more powerful and transformative at a distance than it would be in a premature physical union. The definitive test is your ability to genuinely desire her happiness, even if she chooses to remain married. If you can love without possessing, support without controlling, and find joy in her joy regardless of where it comes from, then you've developed the type of love twin flames are destined to teach. Regardless of how your specific situation resolves, Jung would say that the experience of loving your married twin flame has already transformed you irreversibly. You're no longer the same person you were before this encounter. And this transformation, not physical union, might be the true gift this experience came to bring. The first transformation is the expansion of your capacity to love. You've discovered it's possible to feel such deep love that it doesn't need possession to exist. This frees you from neurotic patterns in all your future relationships. You'll no longer confuse love with control or passion with emotional dependence. The second transformation is developing a more mature relationship with suffering. Jung observed that the ability to find meaning in pain is one of the marks of psychological evolution. You've learned that not all suffering is useless, that some pains carry precious spiritual gifts. There's also the transformation of your relationship with time and control. You've experienced directly that some of life's most important things cannot be forced or controlled. This develops a quality of surrender and trust that serves all areas of your experience. Jung emphasized that archetypal experiences leave permanent marks on the psyche. The encounter with your twin flame has activated aspects of your personality that will remain awakened forever. You now have access to levels of sensitivity, intuition, and spiritual understanding you didn't have before. The transformation also includes a deeper connection to your life mission. Many people report that after the twin flame encounter, even when unavailable, clarity emerges about purpose, career, and unique contribution to the world. It's as if the experience awakens them to aspects of themselves that were dormant. There's a quality of spiritual initiation in this experience. You've passed through an emotional trial by fire and emerged with expanded capacities. This often leads to a sense of spiritual responsibility, the perception that you have something unique to offer based on what you've learned. The final transformation is perhaps the most important: the ability to recognize and honor sacred connections wherever they appear. You'll no longer be someone who goes through life inattentive to synchronicities, meaningful encounters, growth opportunities disguised as difficulties. This experience has taught you that true love is greater than circumstances, more powerful than obstacles, and more permanent than physical relationships. This knowledge isn't theoretical. You've experienced it directly, and that changes everything about how you relate to the world. If you've made it this far, you've already understood that the encounter with your married twin flame wasn't a cruel accident of fate. It was an invitation to a form of spiritual evolution that few humans have the courage or opportunity to experience. Carl Jung dedicated his life to understanding how the psyche operates through paradoxes and apparent impossibilities. These events we resist most are often those we most need to grow. The situation you're living isn't a mistake to be corrected, but a mystery to be embraced. Your twin flame might be married in this life, because you both need to learn specific lessons that are only possible in this configuration. She might be learning about commitment, about honoring promises, about developing specific aspects of herself that only emerge in her current relationship. You're learning about unconditional love, divine patience, and faith without guarantees. The universe never wastes experiences. Every moment of pain you've felt, every night you've questioned the meaning of it all, every day you've chosen to love without possessing, all of this is building qualities in you that will serve forever. You're becoming someone capable of loving in purer, freer, more transcendent ways. Perhaps physical union will happen at the right time, perhaps not. But the spiritual union that already exists between you is permanent and cannot be broken by external circumstances. This connection goes beyond this life, beyond this time, beyond these apparent limitations. What matters isn't whether you'll get your twin flame. What matters is who you're becoming through this experience. And the person you're becoming, wiser, more compassionate, more spiritually mature, is someone worthy of any love the universe wants to bring. Jung reminded us that life's goal isn't happiness, but meaning. And the meaning you're extracting from this seemingly impossible experience is a treasure no one can take from you. You've discovered you're capable of loving beyond ego limitations. That's an extraordinary spiritual achievement. Trust the process, honor the connection, respect divine timing, and keep growing toward the person this experience is calling you to become. Because in the end, perhaps that's the true union your soul has always sought. Not with another person, but with your own higher nature. If this content has touched something deep within you, if you've recognized your own story in these words, leave in the comments. I trust the divine purpose of love. That way I'll know the message reached where it needed to reach. And if you want to continue exploring the deepest mysteries of the human soul and spiritual connections, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here you'll find the most transformative teachings about love, destiny, and spiritual growth based on Carl Jung's wisdom. Your journey is just beginning, and it's more beautiful than you imagine.